How do I?
Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadget. For all your kayak fishing accessory needs, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, coolers, and lighting. Go to pelican.com. The 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the 153anglers.com. Now let's get this show started. What's going on? Facebook Live, YouTube. Woo!
Forget the YouTubers.
We got some fresh faces in the house. We got the epic return of Daniel Perry. What up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We got Mr. Drew Gregory down in the lower left-hand corner, Mrs. Susie Roloff down in the right.
What's up?
And we've been working hard behind the scenes, getting this little fantasy game ready to roll out for you all. You know, I guess real quick, Drew and Ken Morris started the kayak fishing game, and we've put a spin on it this year. But Drew, why don't you give us a little background on like why you and Ken came up with it and all that stuff, and then we'll roll into this season. If you guys want to follow along, we're going to show you guys how to create a team, how to pick a team. You can even start your own group within the fantasy game. So like I see Randy Newton's tuned in. Kayak Anglers of Florida could have their own game, and you guys can compete against each other and things like that. So we're gonna get into that, but Drew, why don't you kick us off on a little background, buddy?
Absolutely, man. Hey, first of all, we have been working hard, and these guys right here have been working hard, very hard. I don't know about Dan. I just see him show up here on the live stream tonight. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But these two, if I'm doing that right, I can't really do this. It's weird. But those two have been working hard, along with some others behind the scenes to, make this a reality. And just so you guys know, a couple years ago, Ken Morris and I of the formerly Hooked on Wild Waters podcast, soon to be rebranded and named River Bassin podcast. But we started the fantasy game because, like I was just saying, actually just went live on Instagram explaining this. I'm a fan of sports. That's like my thing. A lot of people don't know this about me. I actually have a master's degree in sports management. I love sports. I ran sports leagues for 5 years before, at the collegiate level before I, got into this as an angler full time. And I actually then ran the River Bassin tournament trail for 10 years. So you get the idea. I like sports and leagues, and I'm just pumped up. I'm into all of it. So I said, how in the world can we not start a fantasy game for this? I love the Bassmaster Elite Series, and they got their fantasy game. And Major League Fishing did not, or I guess they do this year, but they haven't. And 2 years ago, I said, it can't be that hard to just start your own. So Ken and I started our own for fantasy. It's not been easy, but it became a little bit too much for me to handle on my own, or Ken and I both on our own. So I contacted you guys at Paddle and Fin about Brian. I said, hey, maybe you guys can take this to the next level, especially with our little girl coming, little baby Sophia coming. I realized, man, if it's just one person trying to handle this, it's never going to deliver on the potential that it has. But, fortunately, the Paddle and Fin folks saw that potential and have the resources to take it to the next level, which is what I'm so pumped to talk to you guys about tonight, because we're going to explain what Brian has done with that, taking it to the next level. It's exciting. So let's just get right into it. Where do you want to start, man?
Yeah, man. Quick shout out to Susie, the queen of the spreadsheets. So basically the way it was set before, when Drew and Ken were running it, you would pick a team of up to 6 anglers at the beginning of the season. And, you would bet, basically you're hoping that, those 6 players would win X amount of dollars, and whoever had the most win total for their team at the end of the season were winners. So we've taken it a step further, right? Like I'm like you, Drew, I'm a big fan of sports. I'm mostly a hockey guy, but when I used to work in an office, every football season, it was like, all right, we're going to do the office fantasy football thing, and that got me into watching football because I'm rooting for my team, rooting for my players, all that stuff. So, I kind of took that and we wanted to apply it to this. So for this season, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to pick 6 anglers, up to 6 anglers. You have a $50,000 salary cap, and we'll get to how we came up with the salaries and whatnot. You'll have a $50,000 salary cap for your team. You can pick your team. However, this is covering the 3 major kayak trails. So we got KBF Kayak Bass Fishing, Hobie BOS, and the BASS Kayak Series. So, we all know kayak anglers, right? Some guys only fish KBF or Hobie or bass. Right. Some folks try to make as many events as possible. So, to make it more interactive and more interesting for you guys and a little bit more competitive, now what you can do is you can change your roster before each event. So, obviously the season's about to kick off in a week and a half. With the KBF Trail 1 and 2, the 10 Invitational, and the 10, right? So, I'm going to create a team here while we're live so we could show you guys how to do it. I've already dropped the link to Fantasizer and how to get there and get signed up, but we'll show you how to create a team. It's super easy. It takes maybe 5 minutes. But what you can do is after this KBF event, the next event is the Lake Fork BASS event. So right before that event, I can go in and see that, let's say I got Drew Gregory on my team and Dan Perry and Susie
Hey,
Rolla.
I'm on there. You can actually pick me. Don't do it, but I can be picked. And I wanted to say, I know there's some other guys, some people are just going to say All-American Kayak Series, Elite Kayak Series, Wild West. There's a few other trails that we're going, we're already talking about getting on for next year, but this was a big step for us to go from a single set of players to changing it over the quarter. So this is going to be a growing thing. So you Midwest guys that are really wanting to get in on this next year too, hopefully you'll have your opportunity, but this year we didn't do it. So just wanted to address that from the start,
Yeah. No, that's definitely something we already talked about. All-American's been around for a year, maybe 2, I forget. But
2.
Yeah, they, after this year, we could take all the results from this year and we'll show you the fancy spreadsheets that Susie makes. And she breaks every event down. She breaks it down by series, all the anglers and the anglers that cashed, right? So, we can take that and use it as a reference, and you guys can use what happened last year as a reference for your team this year as well. So, coming into the Lake Fork event, say I got Drew, Dan, and Susie, but those 3 aren't fishing that event, I can trade those 3 out and trade new players in. So like one of the things, that Susie has done, and I know she's only done the first few events so far, but on Fantasizer, it'll give you the link to Fishing Chaos or Tourney X, wherever that tournament's being hosted. And you can go there before the tournament starts and see who is, registered for that tournament to determine your picks, right? So that way you can change up your team and everything. And then, the changing of players gets locked down Friday night, Susie, at 10 o'clock, you said?
Yes.
So you have to have all your changes to your team done by Friday night, 10 p.m. Most registrations on events nowadays are closing Thursday. I think Bass is even earlier. I think it's 3 days ahead of time. So, you got that option to change up your team as you're going along. So it's you're going to have to apply strategy and consistently be watching and changing up your team for these different events as the season goes along. And then come next year when we add All-American and Wild West and all that, it's going to make it even difficult because now you're going to have all these different tournaments overlapping on weekends. So you got to be super strategic. So that's why we started with the 3 off the bat, and then we're kind of moving forward from there. If you guys want to, what you can do is, and I believe I did not drop that link. I will drop this link in the chat as well. This is straight to the Paddle and Fin website. I'm going to share this up as well. And
So basically, it sounds like this is just for those like who have ever played like daily fantasy football or daily fantasy whatever. That's kind of what this is, because you can change your entire roster each weekend. There's a tournament. You know what I mean? You can change them all. So it's kind of fun because you're never really out of it. You know what I mean? You can let's in the years past when you only had 6 anglers for the whole year. If somebody got hurt or something happened with their actual real job, right? They just didn't fish any more events. You got no more money. You stopped paying attention and following along. So this year it's cool because you're never out of it. You can just switch people every single weekend. So that's pretty cool. And, speaking of the anglers, that's another main reason that we started this. Ken and I started this because this is a way to promote the anglers and the trails together, like we all should be, because we are all in this together. So that was our goal. So having people like you're saying, Brian, look at the results from last year. And I know you've got it posted on the game, which you're going to show us where you can find that research and data, like who made the most money last year, which equals fantasy points in our game. But it just gives you a reason to cheer for, a Guillermo Gonzalez or a Cody or Corey Dreyer or whoever, you know what I mean? Like it gives you a reason, which I think is pretty cool, man. And the more attention and the more people following our anglers, just the better for the sport as a whole. So
yeah. I mean, if we're talking about growing the sport, which everybody does, these being able to tell the story or growing, having fans, or just getting more people interested in what we're doing, that this is one of the ways that we do it. So it's definitely important that everybody participate, because then we can show sponsors that, wow, we have this many people doing this. And there are going to be prizes this year that we're going to talk about here in a little bit too.
Yeah. And that's just it too, right? Like it was either the first or second year I played fantasy football in the office, right? I didn't follow football at all. I didn't know who players were. And I just continually switched up my players, especially if you had a bye week or something like that. And I actually won the whole thing. And everybody in my office was pissed off, and I ended up buying lunch for like a week. But it's something that even if you don't know much about kayak fishing, or say your wife wants to get in on it, or you want some friends of yours to kind of root you on throughout the season, and this is a good way for them to follow what you're doing, or what somebody in your circle or your club is doing on the national level. It's a great way to do it. But so if you go to paddleandfin.com, you can click the little fantasy kayak tab right there at the top. It's the third one from the right. And you scroll down, you could click right here. It says sign up here. You can click that link. It'll take you right to it. And this goes through, all the rules. So the big thing is it's one team per person. And then you can have a company team or a club team or something like that. So if Kayak Anglers of Florida, for instance, and Randy, I'm just using you as an example because you're tuning in. If you guys got a couple guys that fish on a national scale, you guys could create a team that's essentially just the Kayak Anglers of Florida, that anglers that are fishing nationally. Or for instance, we used Yak Attack. If Yak Attack as the company wanted to make a team consisting of whomever or just their players, they could do so. That's something.
And you want to know why we did that, Brian? I'll tell you real quick, just a little history on why we did that.
Sure.
So just for example, Adam Reiser is a individual. He won last year. We're gonna have him on later. He won the entire fantasy game, right? And we're going to give him his credit and talk to him about his prizes and all that here later, because I know I had a kid and things got nuts. So we're going to give Adam all the credit he deserves for winning. But he is an individual, just like all of us here, Dan, Susie. But I knew that when we started this, people are going to want to change, as this gets big and grows, people are going to want to change the team names, their names from their personal names, to just fun team names, right? And I know a lot of people, given that this is going to have a lot of popularity, a lot of brands are going to want to get in on somehow, using this to get their names up there. So we just didn't want a ton of people out there, like the pro staff for somebody, obviously someone like Yak Gadget or someone that like you guys have as a sponsor. They would never do this, but let's say they had 15 pros for Yak Gadget, and they could go to their pros and be like, everyone make one team and name it Yak Gadget. It just would look a little bit spammy. So we just said, hey, why don't we just let the brands make a team if they want? most likely they're going to pick their own pro staff guys, and that's fine.
It'd be awkward if they didn't.
Yeah, it would be, right? So
maybe it's the guys they want on their pro staff.
Yeah, that's
true. It could be. Or the other pro staff would be like, "Hey, what's up? You guys aren't picking me. I'm on your team, and this other guy's not." So, but we do have, and you're going to get to this in a minute, but we do have a way where let's use the Florida kayak anglers as an example, since they're on here listening. We have a way for, it could be Florida kayak anglers or the West Virginia kayak anglers or whoever, right? Kayak Bass Nation or KBF or whatever communities are out there. There is a way, which you're going to explain, I'm sure, in a minute, how they can create a separate group, the same way you can do on ESPN for fantasy football or Bassmaster for, their fantasy game. And then you can compete within your own group and offer prizes of your own for your own community. So that's exciting, but that's a little bit of a, differentiator. And you can do that for Yak Attack or any of the organizations out there. You could have your own company group and offer prizes like that. So trying to make it fun for everybody.
Little side wager actions.
My wife did get 10th place last year. I may have picked the team. But Gilston, number 10, is my wife.
Nice.
So real quick, how this is going to work. There's 30 events total between KBF, Hobie, and BASS. So what we've done is we've divided the season into 4 quarters. First quarter is January through March 20th. Second quarter is March 21st through May 15th. Third quarter is May 16th through July 17th. Fourth quarter is July 18th through November 13th. So basically what that breaks down to is first and second quarter is each 8 tournaments. And then the third and fourth quarter are each 7 tournaments. So, we'll have a first and second place winner for each quarter, and then a top 10 overall winners. And then each event that's included is listed down here on the Paddle and Fin site. I just kind of went through. I apologize. Some of these I just kind of, did short abbreviations like I think Lake Eufaula, Gunnersville, Chatfield Reservoir, Broken Bow, things like that. So you can go through and see all the different events and know what's coming up. So this next thing is actually the spreadsheet we were talking about that Susie had created. Oops, I scrolled a little too past. Get to the top here.
There it is in all of its glory right there. Look at that spreadsheet. If you guys are listening to the audio version of this, you are missing out on Susie's incredible.
So you can you can go through and see which angler, what they won at each event. So like, for instance, last year, Russ Snyder's KBF Kissimmee Trail 1, he won $932. KBF Kissimmee Trail number 2, $5,900. The 10 Invitational, he won $1,800. The 10, he won $1,000, and so on. And you can scroll through all the events from last season are on here. And then if you get all the way to the end, when you're scrolling from left to right,
for it to catch up.
Yeah,
there we go. It shows you what they earned total wise last year, and then what their salary amount is. The salaries are also on the Fantasizer game as well. So when you're going through picking and choosing, your anglers, again, you have a $50,000 salary cap. So again, we wanted to make it challenging, spotlight some other anglers out there. So for instance, Guillermo Gonzalez won the most money last year. A lot of that was from the KBFNC. He won $55,861. But on top of that, he won, another 15, 20 grand. He won $70,344. Christine Fisher won $48,256 last year. Russ Snyder's, $44,746, and so on and so forth. So when we had a panel, it was me, Susie, Ken, Drew, Armando. We all sat down and on a conference call like this, and went through the total salary winnings and went through and adjusted totals. Like for instance, Mark Pendergraph won $20,500, but his salary is only $16,200. Well, that $20,000 he won was from the Possum Kingdom event for bass. He only won that in one event, so we scaled his salary back. We did a couple things as far as experience and where these anglers won their money. You could see right here in the top 20, a lot of these guys and gals won a lot of money in the KBFNC or the Hobie TOC. So, we tried to scale it so it wasn't like, Pendergraft's salary was $20,000, but in reality, he only won one event and didn't win anything else for the rest of the season. So we tried to do it in scale. But what you can also do, as you can see right at the top, you got Kentucky Lake 1 and 2. Well, there's a couple events on Kentucky Lake this year that are going to come into play. So you can go back and use this as a reference when you're choosing your team for that upcoming event and see who placed well in there and who didn't. And you can kind of go from there to pick and choose your team.
Yeah. Good research tool.
Yeah, exactly. One thing, Catherine Field, sorry, I just got back to the chat. She says, "Oh, hey, I'm cheap." Yeah,
that's actually good. That's actually a good point, though. While she just chimed in here, we got to mention this because people are going to debate and be like, "Man, I can't believe you have so and so at this price," or "I can't believe you low," or "I can't believe you have so and so way up that high." But here's the deal, guys. Look, how many people are in this game? Do you know off the top of your head?
On that spreadsheet alone, I think it's like 300 and some people. Correct, Susie?
Right.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So listen, we had to go through 300 and some people. There's no way this isn't like the Elite Series with just 80 people, or you know what I mean. This isn't like simple. So what we had to do is have basically just all of us kind of say, let's shoot out a number, like an auction. Like one of us threw out a number, approximately where they should be, and then of course Susie would put it in the spreadsheet. We'd see the other names that were next to them, and based on our kind of knowledge following the game, we would say, that person's got to be a little bit above that person, or vice versa, right? To kind of get it about right. But here's the deal. If you're higher than you should be, or someone's real high, they might be like, that's awesome. It looks good. I'm, as an angler, that's awesome. I'm way up high. That's great. There's obviously a lot of people out there feel like I'm a pretty good angler to be up that high. That's good for the angler. Now, let's say you're lower than you feel like you should be, or your friends do, or whatever. That's also good for you. And here's why. If more people realize that, which they will, if they're going to find the quote values, right? Yeah. Then you're going to have more people following you and more people picking you on their team. More people picking you means obviously they're going to follow you. They're going to probably follow your social, because that was a big point in this game is like, if you're playing this game as a fan and you pick 6 people, there's probably no way in the world you're not visiting their social media profile and following them, right? So it's going to gain more followers for everybody. So don't be bummed. We can still adjust these salaries throughout the year to get them approximately right, but there is really no right. I mean, there's just people that are going to be considered a little bit more of a value and more of a not value. And if you're not a value and you're super high and people don't want to pay 20, whatever I am, like for example, 24,000 for me, because I'm not maybe going to fish as many tournaments. I got this newborn, especially in the first quarter, right? That's fine, because that means less people are going to pick me. If less people pick me and you're one of those people, and I do win that Bassmaster Championship, for example, which is the only tournament, maybe there's 2 tournaments in that first quarter I'm fishing, you're going to gain that amount of money that I win, which is 20,000, looking at what Mark just won, 20,000 over the rest of the whole field who thought, he's too expensive. He's got too much going on. So it's just going to ebb and flow both directions. So don't get too picky on the numbers. It wouldn't matter if I was $1, quite frankly, because then if everyone picks me and I bomb, then the 1% of the field that didn't pick me and pick somebody else, benefited, and vice versa. So who cares what the salaries are? They just are what they are. And, we kind of had to do as quickly and as accurately as we could. So anyway.
Yep. Catherine Field says, Drew, I'm just like being a bargain ninja. Put me on your team.
Exactly. She gets it.
So one thing I wanted to bring up as well, and the email address is on Fantasizer as well. It's fantasykayak@gmail.com. Say, for instance, this Kissimmee event is coming up, right? And you may know of somebody, a local or somebody that's fishing it that you want on your team, that you feel confident in, and they're not on that list. What you can do is you can email fantasykayak@gmail.com and ask for that player, and then we'll put them at a minimum salary. So that way it can add to the player prize pool and things of that nature. And you can pick and choose. You could support other anglers, things like that. Like maybe you go back, look at the standings and see that, I don't even know who it was, but I'm going to use that, a person like Dan went and fished Kissimmee last year, and he was one fish out of the money, right? But and you feel confident that Dan's going to do well, and he's not on that list. You email that email or email the general email on the Fantasizer game, and we can add that player to the player list, and we'll just start them. What's minimum salary, Susie? I think it's 5,000.
5,000.
Yep. So we'll start them at $5,000, and then this way, this continues to grow our player pool throughout, the upcoming years. So it's pretty cool. So
I'll tell you what, I was really going through, because I made a team today. I wanted to go through it. I was really going through people's Facebook profiles to see if they were going to be fishing events. So, I mean, because a lot of people have already said, well, here's my schedule for the year and things like that.
Sure.
So, I mean, just for me, it got me going on other people's pages, because I am a fan. I'm a fan of sport, and I love talking to all the different anglers that fish around the country. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I really think it's going to be a boom for everybody getting more, social media interaction with the people that follow them and do fantasy. So it's going to be good.
So this is a great question by D. Andrew Watsons. Are anglers' salaries locked for the season, or do they fluctuate based on performance? That is something that we have talked about.
Maybe quarterly updates.
Yeah,
we talked about that.
So that's kind of what we're going to do at the end of the first quarter. We'll kind of see, if somebody's on a hot streak and their salary set at $6,000 right now, they're definitely going to get boosted up. So those salaries are going to fluctuate. We're going to have a meeting of the minds at the end of each quarter, like we did at the beginning of this. So that way, somebody's not squeaking away by having Guillermo's always on a hot streak, and then somebody that's at 6,000 that's been crushing every single tournament, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we're going to continually be fluctuating, changing, adjusting, things like that. So it's an even playing field, and again, you're going to have to be strategic, do some homework, like Dan's saying. He already went.
You can look at Brad Case; he's going to be out for a while, and he was injured. We're praying for him, and hope he gets back out there soon. But his number might go down a little bit, and then he comes back healthy again, starts lighting up the field in the middle of the summer, and with a frog, and boom,
bam,
bam, boom,
the frogman himself. So real quick, so I'm going to share this up real quick here. I have not created a team, so we're going to show you guys how easy this is. This is straight the Fantasizer link. I'll drop this link again. It's got all the same info. You just click play now and close out that ad pop-up. You can sign in through Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever it may be. Let's try this. If it asks for my password, I may have to stop. So if you want to create your own private league, like I saw, Kayak Anglers of Florida already did. This is the tab you want. This create a private league. You can name your league name and your team name. To join the overall public, one that we're doing through Paddle and Fin, you just click join a public league, team name. Yeah. I'll just put OG, click join league. And then this is going to take you to the page, and this shows all the anglers. They're in alphabetical order from top to bottom. Their salaries are right there. You can see on the right-hand side, it shows you I got 6 spots remaining, so I can pick up to 6 players. My total available salary is $50,000, and it'll show you total spent. So, like for instance, if I add Cody Milton, it shows that I've spent 23. I only have 27,000 left to pick. other players. So real quick,
I'm going to interject real quick. Since there are over 300 names on this list, there is a quick way that you can search for people on here. On your keyboard, you're going to hit Control and hold it down. It's the CTRL key. And then you're also going to hit F. And a little box is going to pop up. Brian, I don't know if you can show that real quick. Just hit Control
What do you want?
F. Control F.
Good old find command.
That's right.
You know how many times I use that doing research on tournaments or for
up
events?
Here at the top. So if you're on an Apple, it's Command F.
Yeah.
Okay, Apple's different.
Command F.
Oh yeah. Boom.
And there'll be a little box, and then you just type in a name that you're looking for, and it'll pop up. And then, so let's say, you see a name that isn't on here that's going to be competing in the tournament. If you guys ever see that or anything, please, shoot me a message, shoot any of the other guys a message. It's very easy to miss some names sometimes. So I'm also going to be keeping a lookout on Tourney X to see what names pop up, for registration and whatnot. Because as people register and sign up and win money, I'll be updating everything as it happens. So, but yeah, I'm only human. So, if you see something on there, you're like, I don't know what this is, just shoot me a quick message and I'll get her fixed.
Right.
Yeah, so you can go through, pick folks. So far, I got Gene Jensen, Catherine Field. I know the River Goats showing up, so I'm going to throw Jim Ware on my team. Susie didn't add me to the list. I'm going, so I'm going to pick myself. So
y'all, that's a deal right there.
So you got to bet on yourself, right?
Coley McGowan.
Yeah, Lance.
Lance, yeah.
Coley. Yeah, they were both right there.
Yeah, two River guys, creek guys, right next to each other.
That's the thing. If you know someone's skill set, right? Like we know Lance and Coley, both kind of River Creek guys. Then, if there's a tournament, let's say on somewhere that those could come into play, like Pickwick or wherever, anywhere that's got some good ample rivers and creeks, you can kind of zig and zag your team. That's what I love about this. It really forces you to kind of get to know what those anglers are, where they're best at. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's got a strong suit, and some people out there are super strong. Robert Weiker's a good example. Adam Reiser, offshore electronics. Tournaments like that show up. They're just going to be a good pick. Instead of the river. So you can kind of tweak a little bit and start to learn these anglers. Yeah. That's the whole point. Yeah. Just get to know our anglers in the community. I think that's it's pretty cool.
So I still have 3,600 remaining. Obviously, the lowest salary is 5,000. So I'm going to have 5 players on my team. I picked my dude Todd Martins. He did really good at lacrosse last year, so he's up there on there. So and when Susie adds me, I may drop Lance and add myself. So
you can pick less than 6. It looks like. So you can choose to put all your eggs in the. You could pick Guillermo. What am I? 24. Russ, Jody, someone like Cody. You could pick just 3, right? I mean.
Yep.
If you wanted to.
So you just click finish, and then this will show you all the teams. This is Dan's that he picked earlier. You can see his results from each week, and go back and check in and look on that stuff. So I'm all signed up. This is what I was talking about. This is the Fishing Chaos app for this Kissimmee. So you could see all the different anglers that is it sharing right now, or did it stop?
Stopped.
Oh,
stopped. Yeah,
my bad. Boom. So for this first event, when you guys are creating your team, you may want to scroll through this, look through, see who's going to be there. Jody Queen, John DeCencio, Catherine Field, Ken Wood, Matt Kiefer, who placed in the money last year, Matt Ball, Mike Elsey.
Is this the roster for
This
Kissimmee?
Is the roster so far for Kissimmee.
Awesome.
There's a total of 83 or 84 anglers currently signed up. So that's something you may want to do when you guys are sitting down to pick your team for this first event. And then after the Kissimmee event, you'll want to go through and rearrange your roster and look at the sign up for the bass event on Fork. So again, those links will be listed next to the different tournaments, and it'll be all in there. So we got a couple questions. Let's hit these. Is there a way to know how many people pick each angler? Susie?
Yeah, and he was probably talking like in Bassmaster Fantasy.
Right.
Yeah, like you get with them, you get extra points if you pick somebody who not, let's say only 2% of the field picked them, and then it does really well. You get bonus points for that.
Yeah.
We're not that.
I don't think that is in there.
Well, it is sort of. Remember last year it was a yearly game, and there was a behind the scenes on Fantasizer. There's a graph, a chart. It shows the ownership percentages. That should still be there. The only problem is it's post. Like when I play fantasy golf, you don't know the ownership percentage until after the game is locked for that weekend. So you're trying to find someone that's low owned. You're trying to guess who's going to be the one that's low owned, because then you can get a big advantage. But really, if you go chalk and chalk plays out to be chalk and they win or do good, even if they're high owned, that's better scoring money and getting fantasy points, even though 50% of the people picked, Russ for Kissimmee.
Sure.
You still beat 50 other percent, or even if it's 60 or 75. So then you can make a difference on the rest of your 5 players or 4, however many you pick after Russ. You got to differentiate somewhere. So like Dan's saying, you get a little bonus. It's more like it's just you just gain an advantage over the field, but you don't know until after. And that'd be something I think we could maybe turn that on to reveal it. We have to talk to the guys at Fantasizer if it could get turned on to reveal. But I know there was a graph, and I actually posted it on my social last year, who the most picked players are, and it can be a little skewed based on the salaries, because again, people are going to find the value and they're going to be highly picked. Doesn't mean they're better or more popular or whatever. It just means they were the value. And then some people are going to be lower picked, and they're going to be like, well, that's weird. He's such and such former national championship, but maybe he just had a high salary. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, like Guillermo had the best year out of anybody last year, but it's going to be dang hard to pick him this year because he set the bar so high.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It costs a lot of money. Yeah.
Todd Martins asked, is All-American Kayak Series going to be included in this? This year, no. Next year, yes. River Smalley's on YouTube says, all set, new cap and values make it even better. Catherine Field said her whole schedule is on her website. I know she dropped that link in there if you want.
I'd really suggest that with all the fancy going. Everybody get on your social media and post up what events, at least the first quarter that you plan to fish, because that's going to up the amount of people. If you're fishing a lot of events this first quarter of the season, a lot more people are going to be picking you. So repost your schedules and get more people picking.
And sign up early. This is to help the trails too. Yes. Sign up early. They're all going to love that. Hopefully they're all like realizing this is like something we're just doing for fun, but it's really, I think, going to help the trails get what they've always wanted, which is more anglers signing up early, which helps them plan, and we all kind of win. So again, like you just said, people are going to be clicking over on Fishing Chaos, clicking on Tourney X constantly, even if they're not signing up or participating. They're going to get more traffic. The more traffic they get, the more they can kind of help sell their trails to their sponsors. The more money that they get from their sponsors and tourism, it all trickles back to the anglers, and it's just a circle that we all win if you guys join in on all this fun stuff here.
Yeah, and not only that too, but the more people that sign up for this fantasy game, the more we can take to potential sponsors for the game next year to provide more prizes and value to you guys playing. So, get your friends involved, maybe some families, your clubs, things like that. So
Craig Dye's entire workplace had a competition between each other. I remember that, and his whole family. So it's a lot of fun for sure. And that's cool that it's a quarterly game now, because you guys can start over every quarter. You know what I mean? It's all fresh. Or if you create your own group, you can create your own group whenever you want. Could be 3 tournaments in. Doesn't matter if it's just the same people within your workplace or your kayak fishing club or your, place of business, whether it's in the industry or not, like a Yak Attack or whoever. It doesn't matter when you start that, because it's just that group. So you're all going to have the same number of chances. So that's what's cool about this year compared to last year. And I think it's going to keep people way more engaged the entire year.
Well, and not only that, but there's 4 quarters. You got 4 separate chances to win, plus the 5th one being the overall season. So say your first 3 or 4 tournaments of quarter 1 kind of bomb out. Don't feel like this is a lost cause. That very next quarter starts. Now you can start fresh. Everybody's at square 0 for quarter 2 score, but it may ruin your overall season score, but you still have 3 more quarters to go. So that's the thing, it's going to be a cumulative thing, but individual quarters as well. So any other questions, feel free to drop them down in the chat. This is good stuff. We want to get them answered. I will drop these links down in the chat again. If you guys are listening on the podcast platforms later, I know we're doing this live. It's feel free to go down into the notes section of the episode, and all these links will be in there so you guys can find them. Matt Kiefer's in the house. He said salary 5,000.
Good.
Nice.
So, yeah, good.
And I'll bring up a question that people may ask.
Okay, go for it, man.
Some people are gonna ask if money, like if smaller events like the 10, for example, or if the Angler of the Year money, if there is Angler of the Year money for any of these trails, which I think there is. I don't know about KBF, but I'm pretty sure you get money. I know for Hobie you do, obviously, but also you definitely will for bass. I'm pretty sure, because I think they announced it was going to be a cash prize for that, right? Like $5,000 or something. I don't know. But anyway, does that money count? Yes or no? And the answer to that is it has in the past. Hopefully it still will this year. And the reason why any extra money counts is because this was also made to track the overall amount of money kayak anglers win per season on these 3 trails. And obviously next year on a few more trails, regional trails, we're going to add. So it will count those, those other additional sort of prizes, guys, for you guys asking that question, or we're wondering. And it's just because we want to keep track of it all. It's pretty cool when you see Guillermo won $70,000. I'm sure he may have fished a local tournament here or there, may have won a little bit more, but
sure,
the majority of what he won was definitely tracked. And that's pretty cool to see that kind of money being tracked. And the closer you get to, more $70,000, the closer we are to a lot of people, making a living. What if one day there's 20 or 30 people making that amount? That's pretty insane. So
heck yeah,
cool to track.
Dustin Hoy is asking, in the game, do you have to choose 6 anglers, or can you put all your chips on just a couple anglers? Absolutely, you could put all your chips on 2 anglers, and that's your team for that event, and then you could switch it up after that. Randy, the email to submit other anglers to the game, I just dropped it in the chat. It's Fantasy Kayak.
Randy's planning on winning Kissimmee down there. Watch out.
DeAndrew, going to check out Fantasizer later. Does it show what events are in consideration for the week? You can change team week to week. I love watching football, really interested in fantasy football, so I'm definitely going to do this. Yeah, so each event, if you go to the Paddle and Fin page, I posted that in the link. It shows all the events that are in consideration, and it shows the dates, so you could see. I know there are a couple events, like KBF has some events like out on the West Coast at the same time as like a bass or a Hobie event happening out on the East Coast. So again, strategy is going to come into play with that. So, but all those events are listed on Fantasizer and the Paddle and Fin Fantasy Kayak game page.
Did you want the sponsors there get on board for some of the prizes?
We got Pelican is our presenting sponsor. So each quarter, they're going to give away a real nice cooler or equivalent. For
and those are legit.
Yeah,
the super thick coolers, the Yeti style. But Pelican, if y'all have never seen their stuff, go on their website. They're small waterproof cases, they're gun cases. They're coolers. They make
camera cases, all kinds of stuff.
Super nice.
And then we got a few other ones that we're squaring up as well. But Yak Gadget will be in there with some gift cards and things like that. So you know, we're going to keep building it. And again, the more people that sign up, the more ammo we can go and bring more stuff for you guys to take home. So
for sure.
We got anything else between us four? Because we got I got Riser in the wings. Do we want to get him in here now?
We can get him in now. The only thing while you're bringing him in, I will mention is we need to figure out, because people are going to ask this, Brian, and I don't remember the answer. Maybe you do. If you create a separate team for your workplace or whatever,
Sure.
right? Your kayak fishing club, local club, does that automatically bring you into the overall game, or do they need to make a separate? I think they almost need to make a separate team for the overall game. I think they do.
You do. Yeah.
Okay. So just a heads up.
Yep. That's separate from the actual overall public game. So again, when I went through earlier and made my team, you know, it had the make your own series or join the public, and you got to join the public one in order for your team to be on there.
Right. So that's a little different.
That's the thing. Yeah. You could run. That's how you run two teams. You have one in your know, club pool, office pool, whatever it may be, and then one on the actual you know, public
hedge. You can hedge your picks. On one team, you could do one set of picks, and the other team do another and hedge a little bit. But I think that's important for people to know, because on ESPN, if you sign up for fantasy football and go in one of the groups, you just join, or Bassmasters the same way, I think, you know, you just join the groups and you signed up your team. This one, you sign up twice, I think, you know, like we're saying, you sign up for the OG, you know, the paddle and fin overall game, and then your separate one. So don't miss that, guys. You want to enter both of them.
There you go. All right. Here's the man, the myth, the legend,
the King of Dale Hollow.
Howdy, y'all.
Hey, what's up, buddy? King of Dale Hollow, and he's also the king of the fantasy game. So this guy's just a big winner all the way around.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Good to chat with y'all tonight. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we can even pull that screenshot up in a minute. If Brian gets back, we can find the old game and show people. You know, you had a good team last year, Adam. You picked. Do you remember your team by chance? I can pretty much.
You'd probably be better to refresh me than me trying to think, because I think I'd just get confused with the more current team.
I know you had Russ for sure.
That's probably correct.
Let me pull it up here. The leaderboard, I got it.
There.
Here it is. I'm pulling it up right here, guys.
Yeah, you had Guillermo too.
I can't. Last year and this year, I'm confused.
Here you go. I'll share my screen if you want, Brian. You had Russ, Christine, yourself, Guillermo, Josh Sharp, and Mike Morconi.
Was this 2021?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, that's correct. Yeah.
I will see if I can share that screen. That way, you guys we can give your team some love here. Here we go. Fantasizer, share. See if that works. Let me know if you guys can see this.
I don't see it yet.
Someone's got to pull it into the stream. I wonder if Brian's still there. I don't see him on our screen here.
Can you send a link?
I can. I can send a link. I'll send a link that someone can pull it in. I'll put it on this chat here.
Hey, Dan, has anyone made like a bass bass pun about your guitar in the background yet? Because I'm sure tempted to.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Is this? Do you have like a musician podcast that you do, and you just combine them both into one? Like,
no, I just didn't have enough fishing stuff to put in that spot. So no, but I don't know. I got like something from the military, something from
okay. There's
playing bands, stuff like that. Yeah.
For some reason, it's telling me to stop my screen. But I did put that in the comments, guys, in our private chat. I don't know if Susie, how we can get that to the main comments.
To get it in there too, but it's not showing up.
Yeah,
it might be because there we go.
There's something
different.
There you go. That works.
There we go.
We just had to think about it.
There we go. So you had Russ, Christine, yourself, Guillermo, Josh Sharp, and Mike. So that's your team, and your total. If this is sharing my screen here. I'll go back.
It's mine. Yeah, I think it's mine.
Oh, it's yours now? Okay, yeah, I was going to say I can go back here.
The math I hadn't done was like how much of my team could I have dropped and still have won, or is there anyone that I could have not had? I didn't know how much I won by. I was curious to see that.
Well, you won by a lot.
Looks like about 20,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I Me and Josh and Mike could have just sat on the bench and let the rest of the game do it.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but yeah, we got some prizes for you. So you won $500 worth of stuff. You're gonna get one of those coolers from Pelican. Yeah, I mean, can you believe it?
Amazing, awesome. Thank you, Pelican.
Free game, stuff. And then Real Tree Fishing is gonna kick in some prizes. And maybe a couple other my sponsors you might get some cool Z-Man stuff as well. So
would
it's
love
gonna
it.
total total $500.
One of those.
And yeah, no doubt, right? Yeah. And then the next group of people down from last year, I think there was like some $100 prizes, and then most all of them were $50 gift cards. We're gonna get those all sent out. But again, I said this at the beginning, but our little girl came 6 weeks early. She spent time in the NICU, and life got crazy quickly. Obviously, I missed the TOC and all that. So that's why, Adam, you didn't get, I guess the publicity for winning that you should have in the game. So I apologize for that, but wanted to make sure you get your time here, and everyone knows you picked the best team, man.
I'm not complaining. That everything you just named off is more than generous and more than I expected to begin with. I'll put it out there. The team that I selected, though, I can only assume that at the beginning of the season, when they saw that I selected them, that was their main motivation for their fishing, therefore their success. Yeah. So I will be reaching out to those individuals and
10%.
At least a 10%.
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah.
Take your cut, dude.
Just so we're clear. So that $500 package will be combined with, I don't know, whatever 10% is of G and Christine and Russ's.
Yeah, you got to do the same this year for the people you pick.
So the one thing we didn't mention, right? We got Adam on right now, but we're going to do a bi-weekly show. It's going to be hosted by myself, Dan, Armando when he could get in because of work, and Drew when he's not on the road. And then we're going to bring in some of you folks that are leading like Adam won, when we have the Q1 winners, Q2 winners, Q3, Q4, we're going to bring you on the show. You don't necessarily have to, but, we're going to offer that up. We'll talk about, why you made your picks and what led you to those reasons. And then, hopefully you get that 10% deal that Adam got, and he's going to be, walking home with a nice chunk of change, and all his attorney fees are paid for the season.
There you go.
And it'll be like a sports center. We're gonna kind of throw out like what we think for picks for the upcoming tournaments, things like that, who we think is an underdog, who you might want to consider. So follow along. We'll do those live Tuesday night, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm just stoked to get this thing rolling and get the seasons rolling, man.
Same here. We need to talk to Dwayne at Eternity X and even the people at Fishing Chaos. I am curious if we can really get this drummed up and shared. I'm curious if they can take the data, look at their data from 2021 and see how many more page views are on the leaderboards. Because I bet you we will have a big dent, because there's no, like, you follow Fantasy Bassmaster, or the Major League Fishing this year with their like sort of thing they're doing with Bally's. I guess it's like a fantasy game or betting. I promise you, because of the fantasy involvement there, the views of the live streams are way, way up than they would have been had that not, been there. Therefore, we don't have live stream. But what we do have, when I'm not fishing a tournament, I'm always sitting here just like refresh, just checking in and just checking, see what's going on with all the tournaments. So I think it's going to get a lot of people, watching that at least.
Yeah, and if there's something that didn't happen here, a question that you had, or if you listen to this, there's still, you can also listen to Susie and Drew. They're about to get on the KBN show, and they'll talk about it there. And if there's any questions you have, you can ask them there, or you can watch that show as well. Our friends over there. So yeah, it's going to be good.
I'm going to drop in the comments again if you guys have questions or anglers to be added to the roster so you could put them on your team. I'm going to drop that email address down in the chat again. Folks listening on the podcast platforms, it'll be down in the show notes for you guys as well, along with all the other links to get signed up, where all the rules are, the salary, the spreadsheet we showed earlier from everybody's winnings last year. And it should be really cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a great season, and let's get this party started.
Let's go. Man, I'm excited. Hey, one thing I just thought about: if you're adding someone new, right, and let's say that somebody's kind of a ringer coming in. Let's just throw out whoever, just name somebody from the Elite Series, and they all of a sudden enter a tournament, and someone contacts Susie and says, throw in Patrick Walters. They go in at the lowest salary if they're already if there's somebody who's fished the Bassmaster Opens or somewhere we
Patrick
have some
Walters that jumps in on Fork, and or Lee Livesey, he says, "Ooh, there's a trail coming to Fork here. I can jump in. I could be Ike and get in on this." Yeah.
What do we do about that? Like, if they have any known like winnings? You see what I'm saying? Is there some sort of threshold? I know somebody. The reason I've asked this. I know someone that's already declared they're going to be fishing kayak tournaments this year, and they are a former Bassmaster Opens individual who's done really well. I don't want to say their name because
come on,
that's going to be one of my picks. So I got to keep that close to the vest.
What does the name rhyme with?
Come on, man! I can't give that.
You got to
away.
give us a hint,
like Lord and G or something.
Yeah, like
if for instance, if it's like B Lad or Jordan Lee or something like that. Like Ike and Ellie cashed a check in the Bass event, so his salary is a little bit more. So it definitely may be adjusted more than the minimum. I guess it'll be kind of at our discretion to go through.
He's been at a few events and he's only cashed one check though, right?
Right, correct.
Who? Ike?
Yeah,
Ike and Ellie.
No, he's cashed checks at every event he's fished. Every one. He was the last one on the money at the Susquehanna, the very first one. Then he fished Champlain the next year and was in the money. He was pretty like 5th or 6th or something, I think. And then he won.
Yep.
On the other one he's fished.
So Casey Reed's asking, will we be able to see who's picked the most? That we discussed that a little earlier. We got to get those stats. There is a way to get them, and then we will post them up on the Fantasizer page and the Paddle and Fin website as well.
Yeah. So in theory, if there's 30 weekends with events, right, or some of those were overlapping events, but either way, whether there's 30
30 events total, and those are kind of spread out. A lot of these events are happening in the first 4 or 5 months of the year, and then the rest are kind of spread out. And then that quarter 4 is including the TOC and the KBF National Championship as well.
So every weekend there's a tournament, which is probably like 26 or 27 because there's some overlapping. Who knows? Maybe 30. Yep. There will be a graph that Fantasizer shows us on the back end. And Susie, you guys can screenshot that or whatever, save it, right-click, save it, and post it. And it will show you in a chart. It won't show you I don't think it's like goes down, way down. I think it's just like the top 10 or 15% picked anglers, you know what I mean, for that weekend, for the previous tournament. But you can't know that beforehand because that would give you a strategic, I guess, advantage or whatever. You kind of have to figure that out on your own, who's going to be higher picked and lower picked, and kind of zig and zag.
All right, I know you guys got to take off. Those of you guys that got in late, you can go rewatch on Facebook, YouTube, and we'll also be posting this up to the podcast as well. Catch it on any major podcast platform. Again, you can go to Paddle and Fin, paddle the letter N, fin.com/fantasy. That'll take you right to the page, and then that'll get you all the links you guys need. Any final thoughts, words, Adam?
Just thanks to all those who did the number crunching. Susie, it sounds I joined this episode late, so I didn't hear anything except for the last 5 minutes before I hopped on. But I heard y'all doing some number crunching. That's obviously how the fantasy thing works. So I'm grateful for that because I definitely do not have the wherewithal to do that. I'm a stats guy. I love reading them. I think it helps me prepare and everything. So like this is like fitting into my wheelhouse. So I just think it's cool that this is happening. And like you've talked about, Drew, it kind of allows us to get some more insight as to what you can do to cut it on more of a pro end of things too. It kind of lets you dial that in. So sounds like even though I'm behind on the info that's been discussed tonight, sounds like it's all been good stuff. So I'm just grateful to all you guys for putting together, making it happen, and putting a spotlight on it, and the prize package too. I'm excited about that. I was not expecting that much cool stuff. So,
and also just seeing all the numbers on there, like maybe there's something that we can all tell. Like, you know, the river guys are the ones who are cashing the most.
Absolutely. I'll look for that
That's true.
stuff. I'm thinking about that stuff whenever I'm looking at those numbers.
If you know the amount of guys that have, you know, live target, Panoptics, whatever,
Exactly.
you could say, you could check them off and say, yeah, I do need to get that because these are the ones cashing checks. So
Heck yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. We'll go live the Tuesday after Kissimmee Chain for the first Fantasy Kayak Show to talk about that event, the upcoming Fork event, and the upcoming Hobie event. Mark Edwards says Dan Perry out of retirement. That's right. We pulled him out, boys and girls.
Yeah, man, he is. Hey, you know what? I'm going to show up to as many of these shows as I can, but the cool thing we really didn't touch on as much, we can kind of close with this. Everybody out there, we've seen so many podcasts bringing the winners in. You know, let's interview the winner. Let's see how they won, all that. What's cool about this is it gives us a preview show. As we bring people on, we're gonna you know, pin them in a corner and be like, make your picks. We want to see your picks. What do you think for this upcoming tournament? So it's cool because we get to preview the bodies of water. This is going to be a grass fishing fishery. This is going to be a deep water electronics game, river, creek, and we get to talk about all those anglers and their strengths. So it's a real cool idea to also kind of, you know, weave into a preview of the events.
Heck yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, boys and girls. Till next time, tight lines, smooth paddle.
See ya.
Peace.